Oh, hello. It's time for a news dump.
We did it! Again! Yeah, you, me, us, all of us. We carried the torch left over from at least 3 previous generations before us to finally start righting the wrongs of big, fat cat corporations. Alright, we didn't actually change anything worthwhile, but damn it, 3D movies needed to die again. And although this latest surge in popularity for an almost always cheesy experience based entirely on price gouging took a little longer to die than in decades past. But yeah, the box office revenues for 3D movies are finally starting to plummet.
Good. So originally taking audiences by storm in the 1950s, adding the third dimension to movies, were almost always gimmicky and dumb, and most films that utilized this technology weren't very good, and primarily relied on the 3D novelty to sell more tickets than the film would have otherwise. The trend continued every once in a while over the next few decades as new audiences fell for the same old gimmick. The 70s in particular were a pivotal time for this format because finally, they were shooting pornography in 3D, which resulted in the majority of 3D films released in that decade being either hardcore porn or softcore porn disguised as a popcorn flick. Also, Jaws 3D.
Now in the 80s and 90s, it was finally fully embraced for its novelty draw and was used in a lot of theme park experiences where they could actually put a decent budget behind the production because they were typically short films passed off as attractions or rides. And they started to actually use 3D to mess with the audience, doing the whole reach out and scare you kind of thing, or just having fun. You've probably actually seen a lot of these, or definitely at least heard about them. Muppet Vision, Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, Terminator 2 3D, and of course, Captain EO. They were all mainstays at theme parks throughout the 80s and into the 90s as well.
Now, during the 2000s, the aughts, the only notable movies released for this format, aside from a few horror movies, would be Polar Express, which was done entirely in 3D and was horrifying, and Superman Returns, which, if you remember correctly, only had about 20 minutes of actual 3D in the film, so you'd have to put your glasses on and take them off during the movie, and it sucked. Anyway.
Yeah, the movie wasn't great.
Yeah, very boring. The real culprit for the recent rise in popularity was, of course, James Cameron's Avatar, the derivative fantasy movie about alien ponytail sex and stealing valuable resources from a planet called Pandora, is still, inexplicably, the highest grossing film of all time, and 3D screenings had a huge part in those numbers.
Yeah, according to...
And it was still technically softcore porn.
Yeah, touching tips. According to industry sources, 90% of all pre-sale tickets for Avatar were for 3D screenings, and 3D was responsible for 56% of its opening weekend box office cash. Obviously, we all know that those 3D screenings cost a whole lot more than an average ticket, so its astronomically high numbers owe a lot to the format that it was available on. In the years that followed, leading up to now, studios have been trying to bottle up some of that Avatar magic by releasing anything that they can with a 3D option attached to it because of that inflated ticket price and the hope that audiences wouldn't grow tired of this gimmick once again.
A lot of this was just cheap conversions, literally thrown together in order to get that extra $5 or $10 out of you. And right when you walk through the door of your local movie theater, you know you were in for a subpar experience when you were handed those shitty Rivers Cuomo dork glasses that were just polarized instead of the beefy battery-powered active shutter glasses, the good ones. Both forms of 3D glasses sucked, because if you really cared about the way a film looks, you wouldn't want to wear either of them, as they literally darken the viewing experience, making it less vivid and, in general, way less cool looking.
Yeah.
Also, they're all greasy from the last asshole wearing them.
Well, the throwaways were nice for that thing. Plus, you could pop the lenses out and look real cool.
Yeah, they should be thrown into one of those biohazard trash cans, not a regular trash can.
Melt them down and send them to Arkansas.
Yeah. Now, luckily, in recent years, it's becoming easier and easier to just see the regular version of a movie when, before, theaters had tried to force as many showings in 3D as possible because of that price hike. So 3D is finally dying, thank God, and Variety has the stats to prove it.
Yeah, in a recent article, they dove into this downtrend and showed just how far we've come since Avatar, using a report from the MPAA, which shows that, quote, box office revenues for 3D films in the US and Canada fell 18% in 2017, down to $1.3 billion. That's the worst showing in 8 years, and a steep drop-off from the $2.2 billion in revenues generated by 3D films in 2010. They also added that, quote, as 3D has become less in demand, movie theaters have pulled back their investments. The number of digital 3D screens increased just a percentage point in 2017. Studios have also been more conservative about greenlighting greenlighting 3D films. The number of 3D releases in 2017 dropped 15% to 44. The previous year, there were 52 3D films.
Wow. I bet this graph, the graph of 3D movies is probably lines up perfectly with the Bitcoin value graph.
Looks like a heartbeat. And now it's hopefully gonna go ding.
Yeah. Now this is all without even mentioning the fact that home entertainment companies really started pushing 3D TVs and 3D Blu-rays for a while there, and well, we haven't really heard a peep about that shit in years.
Remember the PlayStation 3D TV? It's gonna be on the wall of failure next to the Virtual Boy and
the Nintendo Switch.
no, it's a great console.
Yeah, that's what they say. But anyway, hey, listen, if you like seeing 3D movies, that's fine. You do you, buddy. But we're just happy that we're seeing more and more options to go the normal vanilla route, the missionary version of viewing a movie and having sex with it. It's honestly better instead of being forced to see movies like Avengers Infinity War in 3D and pay all that extra cash. Plus, hey, get the 3D movies out, but you know what? Keep a special place for 4DX movies.
Yeah, just put a little side thing
4DX, I'm on board with because 3D, it's a half measure. You get a little bit extra like depth, but you're not really experiencing the movie the way you do in a 4DX theater, where there are 18 different methods of putting you in the film.
Yeah, it's nice. But yeah, for the most part, shit was just tacked on. Like you'd go see Guardians of the Galaxy and be like, why did I see this in 3D? And the reason used to be because every fucking showing was in 3D and you didn't have a choice.
Yeah, no, honestly, the only movies I've seen in 3D over the last 4 years have been 3D movies that were forced upon me by PR companies marketing movies that I had to go see before going and doing a junket.
Yeah. Well, now that it's out of the way for this generation,
Yeah, good.
we can all look back with rose-colored 3D glasses when this happens again in 10 years, with probably Avatar 2.
Keep it flat. I like them flat.
Yeah. Now, speaking of which, Infinity War is going to be huge. And damn it, just like Black Panther, it might actually have a chance to finally knock that stupid Avatar movie out of the top spot.
Good.
Black Panther has already broken into the top 10 list for highest grossing movies of all time, and on that same list, a few spots up, is Avengers Age of Ultron and the original Avengers movie. This finale, Infinity War, it has all of the right things in place to dethrone every movie that is on that list, and it'll be interesting to see just how far it goes, despite only having about a month of free reign before the other summer blockbusters start debuting. Regardless, according to The Hollywood Reporter, Avengers Infinity War is already tracking to open to a huge $200 million plus opening weekend at the domestic box office.
And that's just domestic. Moving on, though, if you thought that whole feud between Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was water under the bridge, well, according to a recent interview with Rolling Stone magazine while promoting his new film Rampage, he was asked about the Fast and Furious franchise and certainly didn't hold back, as he's known to do, and in doing so, he reignited the war between him and Dominic Toretto. Here's what Johnson had to say.
Vin and I had a few discussions, including an important face-to-face in my trailer, which I'm sure The Rock had to get down on one knee for to be able to look eye to eye with him, or sit down, or whatever. It would be intimidating, to say the least, for Vin Diesel.
I've been in a room with The Rock, and he is a very large man. I mean, obviously he's a big man, but when you are next to him, he is, it almost hurts your brain to be like, this is a person.
And I've been in a room with Vin Diesel.
I've been in a room with Shaq, too. That's another one where it's just like, what?
Why are you interviewing all these giants?
Do I have a concussion right now?
Yeah, it's because you're a small boy.
I am a small boy.
Get off that apple box, Elliot. That's his real height. Anyways, the quote continues. I'll just start from the beginning. We got off track there, but the quote was, Vin and I had a few discussions, including an important face-to-face in my trailer, and what I came to realize is that we have a fundamental difference in philosophies on how we approach movie making and collaborating. It took me some time, but I'm grateful for that clarity, whether we work together or not. Now, when pressed on whether that meant his character wouldn't return for Fast 9, he said, right now I'm concentrating on making the spin-off as good as it can be, the spin-off being Hobbs and Shaw with him and Jason Statham. But I wish him all the best, and I harbor no ill will there, just because of the clarity we have. Now, he then laughed and finished with, actually, you can erase that last part about no ill will. We'll just keep it with the clarity. It's gonna be real interesting to see the production of Fast 9 go.
In 8, they were literally not on screen together, like, at all.
Yeah,
it was weird.
It's crazy to see one of the biggest franchises of all time have two leads one of whom is a producer,
Yeah.
hate each other.
Well, they fucked up casting The Rock like 12 years ago when he was just The Rock. And then
He stole the show.
he got too big.
Yeah.
They goofed.
So-
They let the fox into the henhouse. But anyway, yeah, it's no Conor McGregor throwing a pushcart through the window of a bus and injuring the people on board. Did that happen?
Yes, it did last
Oh,
night,
Lord.
Elliot, and he got arrested for it.
Oh, come on, Connor. Okay, so it's not that, but it's certainly enough to make Universal and probably most likely Vin Diesel a little bit uneasy.
Yeah.
Also, The Rock seemed to indicate strongly that he is not running for president. He has had a change of heart in that same interview. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, maybe we should get back to having people who have a really strong, basis of knowledge and history and
Let's just,
policy.
can we please have the most boring person on earth?
He
be
literally
president,
said
please?
that.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I think the quote, he was like, Donald Trump has proven that anyone can be president. But he's also proven that maybe not just anyone should be president.
Thought too much about whether or not they could, and not
Yeah.
enough about whether or
Yeah.
not they should. That's the new Jurassic Park movie,
Mm-hmm.
where you get a bunch of celebrities on an island and figure out which one's going to be president. And then you let the volcano go off and kill them all.
Yeah, good. That part counts. But anyway, hey, remember last week when we talked about that new movie, Terminal? We were actually kind of excited because Mike Myers is in it, and we hoped that maybe with his recent returns to TV and film that maybe a new Austin Powers might happen, baby.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't get that. And chances are we probably won't ever. But just this week, he appeared on The Tonight Show in character as Dr. Evil for a segment regarding his involvement in the Trump administration and his inevitable firing from the
You
cabinet.
can't even keep Dr. Evil.
We'll leave a link in the description below for the full video in case you need a bit of fun nostalgia to get through the weekend. It's funny, I've seen so much Austin Powers, a lot of it like deep fakes sort of stuff of anytime someone gets fired or leaves the Trump cabinet, people make GIFs of just like the Dr. Evil in his hair
yeah.
and like
Yeah.
people fighting and yeah, it's weird. It's
That Jimmy Fallon, he may not be
Horrors.
funny at all, but he's got his finger on the pulse of internet culture.
He may not be funny at all and may have a serious drinking problem.
Sure.
But hey, that's it. I mean,
Now, in the same vein is this video from Mr. Sunday Movies, who painstakingly analyzed the film Ready Player One so that he could present you with every Easter egg, reference, and cameo from that film all in one nice little package.
I like Mr. Sunday Movies. He does good work.
Now, if you've seen the movie or not, it's still interesting to see just how much stuff that they crammed into Ready Player One and how much you may have missed during your screening. Also, if you hate the idea of this movie, his video will throw more fuel on the fire because it accurately displays the sheer amount of nostalgia crammed into one film.
Did you see it? That's
fun.
Chappie.
It's fun for everyone. Again, link below in the description so that you can check out that full video.
All right, let's move on to trailers this week, starting with the trailer for The First Purge, which is obviously, as you can tell, a prequel to the Purge franchise, which shows how it all got started. Behind every tradition lies a revolution. So this Independence Day, you get to witness the rise of our great country's 12 hours of annual lawlessness. Welcome to a movement that began as a simple experiment, the First Purge. So to push the crime rate below 1% for the rest of the year, the new founding fathers of America, the NFFA, they test a sociological theory that vents aggression for one night in one isolated community. But when the violence of oppressors meets the rage of the marginalized, the contagion will explode from the Trial City borders and spread across the nation. The Purge movies have kind of taken the place of the Saw movies for almost a yearly tradition of outrageous horror, and we approve. It gets better each time.
I think so
It's
too.
an interesting concept. They've gotten more into like the sort of social commentary aspect
Yeah,
of it. I like it.
I always enjoy watching them, even though they're not really, top tier as far as critical acclaim or anything else.
Yeah,
It's just
I
a
mean-
fun romp
Come on.
in a future that might actually be real.
Yeah. This comes out on the 4th of July, of course.
Enjoy.
So, yeah, have fun.
Then there's Upgrade, which is not a movie about the character from Idiocracy.
But it is also from Blumhouse.
Yes, it's also from Blumhouse, makers of The Purge, and it's by Lee Whannell, who was the writer and producer of those Saw films we were talking about. After his wife is killed during a brutal mugging that also leaves him paralyzed, Gray Trace, played by Logan Marshall Green of Spider-Man Homecoming and Prometheus, is approached by a billionaire inventor with an experimental cure that will upgrade his body. The cure, An artificial intelligence implant called STEM gives Gray physical abilities beyond anything experienced, and the ability to relentlessly claim vengeance against those who murdered his wife and left him for dead. So yeah, this obviously leads to what we can assume by the trailer to be some incredible fight scenes and just over-the-top brutality in general.
Yeah, it looks very, very violent. I love it. Because
what if John Wick was a superhero?
what if John Wick was just an average guy who had an AI in his head that only he could hear, and he's like, all right, go into fighting mode. Like, the fight scenes look so fucking funny because he's just sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, his head's just his body's just fighting.
He needs an exorcist.
I love it.
It's the demon inside me.
He's possessed.
Yeah.
It looks very violent. I think he gives a guy like a Glasgow smile at one point.
Yeah.
It's great.
So this will be hitting theaters on June 1st.
And finally, you absolutely have to watch the trailer for The Man Who Killed Don Quixote. This is from writer and director and Monty Python alum Terry Gilliam, because it looks fucking hilarious. So this stars Adam Driver, you know who he is, alongside Jonathan Pryce from Pirates of the Caribbean, who plays the role of a man who thinks he's Don Quixote. The man who killed Don Quixote tells the story of a deluded old man who's convinced he's Don Quixote and who mistakes Toby, played by Adam Driver, he's an advertising executive, mistakes him for his trusty squire Sancho Panza. So the pair embark on a bizarre journey, jumping back and forth in time between the 21st and magical 17th century, and gradually, like the infamous knight himself, Toby becomes consumed by the illusory world and is unable to determine his dreams from reality. The tale culminates in a phantasmagorical and emotional finale where Toby takes on the mantle of Don Quixote de la Mancha. This is also interesting because he tried to make this movie about 20 years ago and literally everything went wrong. And they had to straight up cancel the movie.
Very anticipated.
They got a documentary about it.
Yeah.
So that's
the trailer is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be a very, very good time. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. But yeah, the film's being distributed by Amazon Studios. There's no release date yet. The only thing I could find is that it is coming out in 2018, so it should appear somewhere at some point this year. And hopefully will be made available to Amazon Prime users when that time comes. Mm-hmm. If it's just on Prime, that's fine. It's not like you have to watch the movie in a theater.
Amazon's strategy seems to be make theatrical releases that are then part of the Amazon Prime catalog forever.
So that'll be cool. It's not like, I mean, I would like to see this in theaters, but if it comes to Prime, I'll just plop down on the couch and
or put it on Twitch.
Yeah, they could stream it on Twitch. The chat would be amazing.
Yeah.
They should do one screening without the chat, and then screen it immediately again with the chat enabled.
Instead of emotes, you have Quixotes.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, there you go. Anyways, watch the new episode of Weekly Weird News, which is about new dumb teen trends that aren't new at all, because teenagers have been doing dumb shit for years. Also, a brand new episode of Tech News Day where AI, will it kill us? Will it save us? We don't know. Are we winning? Are we losing? Find out more on Tech News Day.
Who can say?
Follow us both on Twitch and Twitter. We're in the links below in the description, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.